Hi people, welcome to Blue UK Jazz Dance. I'm going to talk about my legacy of leadership. It's quite prolific. One of the key things is I take negatives and turn them into positives. Because when negative situations arise, what happens is I got taught by my parents to see it as an opportunity to make change in your life or improve your life or see what you learn from it. I got friends who were very, very spiritual. When I got septus, a friend of mine said, "What are you supposed to learn?" That's what she said to me. She came to my home. She said, "Don't get sorrowful. Yes, you could have died. You've not died. What are you meant to learn?" She said to me. I have friends like that, but my parents are like that. And we get taught to turn negatives into positives. So one of the situations that happened, I want to tell a very short story. I wanted to become, an opportunity arose for me to create a 3-year business plan or a 3-year sustainable business plan for a group that I'd managed successfully called Cantamanto Drumming Group. It was a personal development group that I became a lead dancer, lead drumming, and I took the group to Percussion 88. And Percussion 88 opened the door for us to be commercially viable, that simply as it is. And I had a lot of other accomplishments as well, working with the Halle, working with Camerata, working with different groups like Inner Sense Percussion, Gamelong, and basically we had done quite a variety of different projects because of my skills in the group, because I was not only an African professional dancer, I was a Caribbean dancer, and I was a contemporary dancer, and I was a tap dancer, and I was a UK jazz dancer. And what happened was the teacher who ran it, called Kwasi Asari, was originally a jazz musician. He was still a jazz musician, but he changed the instruments that he played. He played sax before, trap drum, and he went back to play traditional music of his village, which was healing music. And he created a project to develop young people through administration, through dance, through drumming. And it was all about personal development for them to get a focus to decide what they wanted to do in their life. I loved what he was doing, and I became the arts administrator from 84 to 89. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, what happened in 89, amazing story was I was in a contemporary dance company full-time as well as being in Cantamanto, voluntary and a voluntary capacity. I got injured, and I decided what I'm going to do, I'm going to become the administrator for Cantamanto, take time out, and make a decision what I was going to do. What happened, Northwest Arts, which is our arts board in the UK, knew about my accomplishments and said to me, "Would you become the full-time administrator for your group, Cantamanto, if we help you do a 3-year sustainable business plan?" I said yes. That's the greatest news I had, because I always wanted the group to be sustainable. What happened, our teacher was in America, Kwasi Asari. What happened, I didn't know he was going to America. He was making a decision. He's going to resign. He's going to retire and go back to Ghana. So anyway, I did a 3-year plan successfully with the help of Manchester Business School, Adrian Mealing, and a few other organisations around business. And what happened, when he came home, he decided he's going to retire and disband the group. There's nothing we could do. So basically, as an individual, that idea for me to become a full-time administrator as an idea was in my head. And what happened was it couldn't be done no more because we didn't have no group. Okay, part of in the business plan was me developing myself to be a dance teacher. Because that made sense. It made sense for us to start to get qualifications in dance and music. So I took up that and decided I didn't have no qualifications in dance. That's the reason. I didn't have no qualification in music. If we wanted it to be accepted more in the mainstream world, we needed to get qualifications in music and dance. I decided to go up on the dance route. What happened was I applied. I successfully gained a place at Bedford Higher Education College. So the point I was making, out of a bad situation, I made a good situation happen. What happened was, because my teacher was disbanding the group, that was a negative situation. I could not continue my role as an arts administrator. But what happened, I incorporated in my 3-year plan, was I was going to become a teacher of dance. So I took up plan B, that section of it, and what happened was I went to Bedford to do a foundation to dance and sports teacher training. Now, my success in getting on that course, first of all, it was a dance foundation training, teacher training course. You had to have an interest in being an educator. They didn't want just a performer. So the irony of that situation, through me being in Cantamanto, what happened, being the administrator, I used to collect all the project information. So I'd done a lot of educational work, and I pushed for a lot of educational work, So I had that when I went to Bedford. Secondly, I was injured, but I still could get through the audition. The audition was just a test to see how good I'm at ballet, because that's a prerequisite of you getting onto the educational course. You had to show your technique in ballet, contemporary, etc. Well, the irony, secretly, between 81 and 89, I was doing ballet, contemporary, tap, ballet. No one ever knew about it. Do you understand? So what happened, I was prepared to go to the audition, and I passed the audition with flying colours. Now, they didn't want just a performer, they wanted somebody interested in education. What I had was basically, I had endorsements, testimonials from teachers in education, one, and two, I had an amazing portfolio that showed I had education. So basically, out of my situation, I ended up in a new route for what as a new way to develop myself as a person in dance. So I didn't have to just give up my dance career, etc., etc. And what happened, it took me in a road, what I call Dance in the Spirit of Jazz. It took me to pushing the boundaries. DISJ, Dance in the Spirit of Jazz, is pushing the boundaries for learning, thinking, and development. And because I followed that, always, every time I've gone through a negative experience, I always follow Dance in the Spirit of Jazz. Because there's many ways to engage in jazz. You can engage in jazz as a speaker, a lecturer, a researcher, a director, a producer, and I've done all that. Do you understand? When I've been injured, bad situations taken place, I've been through challenges where I've been beaten up and I couldn't dance for a while, I became a writer, I wrote a play. So one of the key things, I had a character called Adventures of a Swing Kid, that came out of a bad situation, which was people tried to kill me in my primary school. And what happened, people used to laugh at me as a person with special education needs. As an individual, I decided, you know what, I'm tired of being laughed at. I'm going to improve my writing. I'm going to improve my speaking. I'm going to improve my ability to pronounce words. I'm going to improve my ability to lead myself, because what happened, special education needs children get written off in schools and they don't get opportunities to lead because they don't believe you're confident enough. Now, I was a quiet child because people used to take the mickey out of me in the way that I spoke. So I didn't speak. Do you understand? Because I didn't want people to take the mickey out of me because it was horrible. It wasn't a nice thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So people thought I was a quiet child and a dangerous child because, unfortunately, there's a lot of stereotypes about children who were quiet. Now, the irony of my situation, at 8 years old, I made a stand, a courageous stand. I'm going to get rid of my shyness. I'm going to change myself because I had a dream to be a barrister, cricketer, and a tap dancer, a tap entertainer in cabaret. If people got that. And that happened through a negative situation taking place, being violently bullied, being treated in an intolerable way by people. I said I'm going to make a change. And I got the courage to decide I wanted to share in Grenada what I do as a hobby, which was this character called Adventures of a Swing Kid, where basically I was doing soft shoe shuffle, I was singing, I was composing, because at home, what happened, the first formal education I ever had was in music, and the school was shocked to know that I had piano lessons. So what happened at 8 years old, I decided I'm going to do a play in Grenada where I performed piano, I talked about it, I entertained people, telling them what I'm doing, the characters, how they came about, etc. I composed, I danced, I storytell, I talked to how my father taught me certain things, my brother taught me certain things, my mum taught me certain things. Basically, I laid down some stories with them, and it went over. It was brilliant. That's all. That's everything you know. And it gave me the confidence to come to Britain, and I did that in my school, and that changed my life forever because I became a celebrity in my school. Because nobody in the school had ever done a one-boy show ever. They composed the music, they directed it, they spoke to people. No one ever done it. So I showed courage, and it changed my life in the school. Because what happened, I came back to the UK much stronger and tougher after being in Grenada. I went there to be toughened up, basically. I went there to get cultural grounding. I went there to see how hard it was for my mother. And I realized I came to have admiration for my parents' resilience to fight adversity in Britain is when I went to Grenada. I realized how hard it was for them. I spoke to my grandmother. My grandmother told me at the hard times they had. And what I'm getting, an opportunity to get an education in a primary school, they couldn't afford to give my mother. Do you understand? And the importance of it. So the hardships, you have to learn to deal with the hardships. Same time, you have to learn to toughen up to deal with that. So out of my resilience as a legacy is that hardships I took as an opportunity to improve myself. I took as an opportunity to find people to support me in my development. And that's what I did with my education. I was a special education needs child, wrongly diagnosed as slow learner when I was actually dyslexic. Do you understand? I went through a lot of trauma. I went through a lot of illnesses. I went through a lot of shame. I went through a lot of humiliation. But what kept me on track was the dancing, the dance leadership, the dance directing, the dance producing, the dance activities and development kept me resilient, kept me hopeful, kept me confident I can overcome the ridicule. If my parents can overcome it, slaves, my ancestors who were slaves could overcome it. My first ancestors of great African kingdoms, if they didn't survive, I wouldn't be here. So what happened, one of the greatest things I said in my legacy was I used hardship as setbacks as a way to see an opportunity for me to improve myself. Blue K Jazz Dancehall.